Okay, we go now.
We're going live in 5,
Yep.
4,
Oh.
3,
Uh.
2,
Eat.
1.
Ah.
Hola, compadre.
Hi.
You're looking swell. Not sleepy at all. Oh,
Thanks, man. I
there's a
definitely
pretty
didn't
smile.
just take a nap after work.
It's all right though. We got a little beer in you. You feeling a little spry now? I can see it on your face.
Mm-hmm. I do have a beer, and you're drinking as well.
I am. I've got some leftover Shiner strawberry from the early
Delicious.
summer. What about
Sounds good.
yourself? What are you sipping on?
Found this cool craft beer at the store. I went and I don't know. I liked the can, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
It's Coars Lite. So,
Beautiful. What are those
excited about it.
mountains? Those the Fuji mountains?
well, the mountains are blue, so I don't know what kind of
Interesting.
mountains they are. I
Interesting.
guess I don't know. That's pretty cool. It's weird that no one's thought about blue mountains before.
It's no natty, right? But it's pretty good.
It's not Bush.
So this is the first time we've spoken since you took that fine trip out to Pasadena and watched our fearless Tigers drop a fat L. How we
Yeah.
feeling?
LA was actually pretty nice. I actually really liked Pasadena and LA. Weather awesome, just expensive, but
Yeah.
weather was awesome. Most of the people were cool too. LSU is dog water.
Yeah,
That's all I
certainly
can
are.
say.
They certainly
terrible.
are.
And I'm a little upset I missed some of the other games to watch that shit show.
It was actually a pretty decent day of football, all things considered. A lot of upset alert throughout the day. I think the day actually ended up mostly chalk, except for LSU and then Georgia won, if you count that breaking chalk. But it was actually a pretty solid day. I enjoyed it. It was some really good football. A lot of SEC teams struggled really, really hard. So that should be interesting as the season develops. But
True. You know who didn't struggle? Alabama. I know you're surprised.
so like usually I'm not surprised. Like it doesn't ever like take me, it doesn't ever hurt me to see them that successful. But there was something about this particular reload where I was like, dude, you have to be fucking kidding me. I just watching it and like seeing how lost Miami looked. Like, not that we didn't know Miami wasn't even in the same tier as them, but it was painful. It's painful.
Honestly, it was. I didn't even care. I was like, oh, okay, they're good again. I mean, it could just as easily be attributed to Miami being garbage as it is them being like Alabama being that good. So it is what it is. I'm not surprised. We were at the bar. We were at this bar called Yard House in Pasadena. Really cool bar, and they had all of the games on in the morning. And dude, that Tulane game
So
was
much fun.
crazy.
So much fun.
Give me that. What was his last name? Pyatt? Was that the guy's last name?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Pyatt. Give me that guy on any team I ever have.
Bro,
I want
him almost getting that fucking fourth down conversion. That dude has some heart. Well, it's funny. I was a girl I used to work with. She's an OU grad, and I was giving her shit before the game even started. I was like, roll wave. Just like, she's a football fan, but not like a crazy one.
Yeah.
But I had no idea, especially with it being in Norman, that it was actually going to be competitive. Because I even almost texted her. I was like, yeah, I'm just bullshitting. Y'all are going to stomp the hell out of them. But
Spencer Radler does not look good. He
No,
did
not at
look
all.
good at all.
Not at all. He was forcing balls, man. Like he was throwing in double
And
coverage.
he had time.
I think
he had plenty of time. It wasn't like he was under pressure the whole game.
I think he probably. So I'm interested to see. Was it because he was like looking past Tulane? He was like, I'm the Heisman front runner. I'm going to torch
what?
the hell.
Like, who do they play this
Well,
week?
no, I don't even necessarily mean towards the next opponent. Just like literally looking through them. Like they're, this is my opportunity to come out and show the folks why I am the Heisman front runner, which is crazy because like he wasn't that great last year, and yet we're hyping him up because everyone's sucking on Lincoln Riley's dick. But anyway, yeah, no, it was a really fun game.
Penn State, Wisconsin was really good.
It was. I
wasn't really impressed by either team. I mean, obviously their defenses were awesome, but like I just wasn't really impressed by either of those teams. I don't know. I think a lot of teams, to me, at least in the morning and then those kind of afternoon games, like a lot of teams seem to regress.
Well, I was actually reading an article that like this weekend showed, whether it's because we're coming off the COVID season or what, but that offenses don't look as sharp, and so there was a lot of like smash mouth style football over the weekend.
There was,
because teams had no choice. Like the quarterback play just wasn't there, and yeah, that Penn State Wisconsin game was really entertaining. I think I texted you when this happened. I had a couple moments this weekend where I got like emotional, like watching fans be back in stadiums. Mm-hmm. And so on Fox, they actually stopped the production to like show Jump Around at Camp Randall. Yeah. And dude, it was awesome. Gave me chills, man, just to see fans back. I know we talked about it last time, but it's just so good to see.
I agree. It was good to see all of, I don't know, it's good. And even in the Rose Bowl, like there were a decent number of people there. And it was just cool, you know, and like the Rose Bowl is a cool stadium. I don't really expect much from like Pac-12 crowds necessarily, but they brought it and they were excited that was back. Good to be back in real stadiums.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Georgia Clemson, not a single offensive touchdown was scored. I didn't get to watch any of it, so
I had it on another monitor while I was watching on the TV. Mm-hmm. I saw the touchdown live. I saw the interception. It seemed like every time I turned around, DJ was getting sacked. That kid, Georgia was all over that kid. And yes, I'm purposely calling him DJ because I'm not yet ready to pronounce his last name.
DJ Ngulele.
Yep, right. Whatever, doesn't matter.
Oh, that's a little offensive, I think.
I don't think so. It's fine. It's not like every sportscaster in America wasn't making the same joke all weekend.
Oh, and then last time we talked, you had a big old bold prediction that you even adjusted in your chair for, stood back up. How'd that turn out?
Not great. Texas is back, baby. Apparently.
No. ULL's just bad because last year COVID it made a lot of things weird.
Yeah, it equalized things that shouldn't have been equal. I will say that UL team was tough. Like the first couple of series, I mean, they were matching Texas step for step in speed and power, but I just don't think they had the depth and the caliber of players to keep up long term. Texas just pulled away. It seemed like, I think time was UL's enemy. It wasn't that Texas was so much better; they were just deeper. So the score just kept elongating on them.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that won't happen when you play, you know, the rest of the Sun Belt. So they still got, and like that's what's cool about some of these first games that people really like is like none of these games really mattered for any team per se, except maybe Clemson, because if they drop another game in conference, maybe that messes with the playoff, depending on how things shake out. But like, no one really ruined their season.
No, I think for the Clemson Georgia game, that was the least impactful outcome that could have come about.
Right, because both offenses were terrible.
No, but think about it like this: if Georgia drops that L, I mean, they have to then run the table in the SEC, right? Clemson can now run the table in the ACC, which is highly likely and doable.
I think that Georgia has to run the table in the SEC. I think Georgia can afford a loss where Clemson probably can't, just because of quality of.
No, but I'm saying with the loss week 1. That's what I'm saying to you. So like, if
but that's what I'm saying. I think a 2-loss SEC team gets in before a 2-loss ACC team.
Yeah, but that second loss would come to the hands of Bama. So all I'm saying to you is like, in a world where a team takes a loss and then is then facing their conference schedule, I think Clemson is better equipped to shake it off. So in terms of the landscape, it's not.
Clemson has an easier schedule, but I mean, a loss to Bama and a loss to Clemson, the number 1 and number 3 teams, respectively, right? Depending on where it is and when it happens. But like, I think those 2 losses are better than Clemson losing to Georgia and someone else on their schedule. That's what I'm saying. Is I think I think Georgia gets into the playoff easier with a loss to Bama and Clemson than Clemson gets in with a loss to Georgia and pick any other team on their schedule.
Yeah, I'm not debating that at all. I'm just saying in a world where we're setting the floor for playoff contention at one loss, like this is the least impactful. Right? It may not be practical at the end of the season, but it's going to be, it's more likely that they run their table than Georgia does.
Right.
So I know that you missed some of those late slate games, but who are your playoff picks now, knowing what we know? Have they changed? Have they shifted? Do they remain the same?
I think they're pretty much the same. I mean, for me, it's Bama, OU, Clemson, and probably, I don't know if UCLA runs the table, which is very possible in the Pac-12.
Are you not high on the Buckeyes?
Not particularly. I didn't think they looked all that good against Minnesota.
They didn't, but I have to give them kudos for that was a hostile environment, a much improved team. That Ibrahim kid before he got hurt, I mean, he rushed for like 150 yards. Like they had no answer for him to take all of those punches and still find a way to win. I think like the reality of it is if you're gonna pave your way to a title, you're gonna have a game or two like that. So maybe they got it out of the way early, and that's their medal test, and they can grow from there.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know where I stand because I don't trust OU to not pull an OU and fucking lose to Kansas State or whoever.
Yeah, I mean, like I can give you three teams, right? I can give you Bama, I can give you Clemson, and then maybe Georgia, or but Georgia's gonna have to score points. Like,
oh, for sure,
they just are. And JT Daniels, for all the talk that he got, I don't think anyone's talking about him enough now. And how he put up a goose egg. So that's
well, going into this season, he was their trump card because he was a returning quarterback. We talked about it last week. There was so much quarterback uncertainty going into this week, and most played well, but I mean he was kind of a dud. I mean that defense played Georgia really, really well, but he was didn't impress by any means.
And probably your leader in the house at Heisman, outside of Bryce Young, is probably Zach Charbonnet, UCLA's running back. Like if you had to choose today.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I don't know that I'm like fully convinced on anyone for playoff. I don't think that any team really convinced me. Ole Miss looked really good. They'll give teams some problems, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see it play out a little more.
Yeah, I think every conference has some real questions to answer. No team looked dominant. I'll just say that, other than Bama, right? I mean, they were the only team in that upper echelon that took care of business, tried and true.
Yeah, and then I mean, normally we talk about the games coming up, but Oregon, Ohio State on Saturday, and then that looks like it's it.
I believe Iowa State's this week as well.
Oh yeah, Iowa State.
That's probably my game of the week.
And then Texas at Arkansas could be interesting.
Yeah, I actually think that Iowa State game is going to be a defensive slugfest. I think it's going to get pretty ugly, but Iowa looked really impressive this week. So that could be
we'll see,
a potentially good game. So I want to hear a little bit. Yeah, I want to hear a little bit more about your trip, though. You said things were expensive. Did you notice it like in every day, like just like were bars more expensive, restaurants and things?
Yeah, everything was more expensive. Regular gas was like over $5 a gallon. The beer everything was just more expensive. Like beer was a bit more expensive, liquor was a bit more expensive, food was just a little bit higher price than like you would see down here. So it was a lot. And then like ride shares, like me and my dad rented a car, and we didn't necessarily need the car, but if we had decided to do something each day and like ride share to different places, we would have paid over $400 in Ubers and or whatever it is that we used.
Yeah.
So it's just an expensive city to live. And I was talking to some people on the side of me. They're talking about how much like their houses cost. Dude, it's unreal.
Oh,
It is unreal. That no one had a house, and like they show me pictures. They're like, you know, they were nice houses, but they weren't, you know, they weren't what they paid for them, which was like millions of dollars.
Yeah. I hear like 1 million is like a shack or like a basically a housing equivalent of a studio apartment, right?
Yeah, if you're living anywhere near the city, like a million is garbage.
Did you go into the city at all, or did you stay in the Pasadena area?
No. We stayed in the Pasadena area. We thought about going to LA and doing some stuff, but we walked to the Rose Bowl, hung out there, but the day before the game, and then walked around Pasadena, went to a couple bars. Dude, there was this place called the Doghouse on Green. Shout out if you guys ever hear those. But it was like a beer garden.
Yeah.
And they had like burgers and dogs, and that was it. And I had a bratwurst, and I think it was called like what they call it. Oh, it was named after one of the old movies. Reservoir Dog. It was called Reservoir Dog, and it was a normal bratwurst, and they had like coleslaw and some mustard on it. But it came, instead of in a bun, it came on King's Hawaiian rolls.
Oh shit, that's dangerous.
It was so fucking good, dude. I literally, I was looking at it, I'm like, why have I never... I'm like, who cares if you're literally using the rolls like in half? Like, who cares about that? It was so fucking good. I went there twice.
Does this confirm that a hot dog is a sandwich?
Hot dog could be a sandwich, depends on how you look at it. But that would take me an hour to go through it, so maybe we do a special episode on that.
All right, I was just curious. I mean, you introduce rolls into the equation. That sounds pretty sandwichy.
King's Hawaiian rolls they're kind of their own tier, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, the buttery. You've seen those TikToks where it's they just open the Hawaiian rolls and like they throw all the stuff in it, but they don't cut it up yet. They throw it all. They like put the butter on top, throw it in the oven, melt the cheese, and then do it as like little sliders. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I've not seen what you're talking about. But, sounds great.
My god, dude, it's so good. It's dangerous. Food TikTok is dangerous.
I think that's actually a really interesting segue because might as well just story time here. Like if you rewinded less than 2 months ago, I was a strict no TikTok guy.
You were?
In fact, I made fun of you and our other pals who used it. But then I got so freaking tired of getting... So, like, if you don't have the app and you get the text messages, like, the way... It's so genius how they do it, but the way that it opens up is so clunky, and you can watch it once, it doesn't repeat, and you can't actually access other videos. They'll bring up video suggestions, almost like YouTube does, but you can't click on it, because if you do, it just takes you to the app.
Right.
But I got so tired, I was getting so many throughout the day that I just decided to download it. So fast forward to today, and I am in a deep pit of TikTok despair and addiction. It has taken over so many aspects of my life. Like I find myself wasting hours on that bullshit app.
And it's I think I've narrowed it down because I've thought about this a lot. I've talked like obviously with our buddy Evan, and then you know we send TikToks back and forth all the time. For a year basically we've been doing it, and I've realized that there's two things for me. There's two things I think that do it for me that I don't think I'm getting rid of TikTok anytime soon. Number one is how easy it is. Dude, you open the app and you just start scrolling. It's the ease, right? Number one. Number two, it's the algorithm. It's so good. It's after when you first get it, it takes you about a week. You like the videos you like, you don't like what you don't like. And as you keep scrolling, it just gets better and better. And you mold it to where, dude, literally probably every other video, I'm like, yep, like that. That's funny. Yep, that's funny. It's unreal. I love TikTok. I hate that I love it. I really do, because I'm almost 28. TikTok's such like a Gen Z thing, but I love it.
It is like the epitome of like the 2021 American mind, maybe I shouldn't even say American mind, just the human mind, where like attention span is next to nothing. Like you talked about the ease. It's a weird mix of being thoroughly entertained and also your brain is completely shut off. Like they've developed it so masterfully. And it's also you can't. I've noticed this too, and maybe this like speaks to how bad my addiction has gotten. Like, let's say I'm like scrolling through it or whatever, and I need to do something real fast. Like I need to go grab something on the counter, go grab my drink, or go like look for something. Well, like I find myself getting annoyed when videos repeat. So I like rush back to my phone to try to get to the next one because I'm tired of hearing the same fucking TikTok repeat over and over again. I'm like, there is nothing about this that doesn't scream like heroin addiction or like gambling addiction. It is like the same, seems like the same like loop that's going on in my brain. And it has such a stranglehold.
And it really is. And I've gotten to a point where I literally have, I have to make a very conscious decision every day to say, nope, that's enough TikTok for now. Like wait until you're about to go to bed. So, but it's crazy. Also, speaking of earlier, when I mentioned it, this may be like sacrilege because I am a millennial, but I think Gen Z is awesome. Is that weird that I think Gen Z is like really awesome?
No, I don't think it's weird. I think what's tough for us as millennials, is we're
I think we're technically zillennials. Or like man. I think we would fit into that zillennial.
This is what I'll say.
I think millennials suck, especially the older ones.
This is what I'll say. Well, that's what I was about to say. Like, millennials are in this like weird in between, right? Where like the first half millennials behave a lot like their parents did, whereas like us, the latter stage millennials, like we were born in an era where technology wasn't dominant and grew up with it as it developed, right? So we have that unique perspective. But
we weren't in high school or college when it happened. We were like in 4th grade.
Yeah, so it just makes us, for me, like our age group, I feel like this weird buffer zone between like Gen Z, who grew up on iPhones and grew up on technology and social media, and then like the millennials that came before us who like are still fucking basically like boomers, Gen X, and first half Gen Ys are like all the same to me. Like they literally are one homogenous. Like anytime they start talking, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. And I don't like to be this way. Like I try my best to be respectful, but the older I get, I'm like, dude, like we're getting to that. So like, it's funny, right? As you get to like your late 20s, you start to realize that like all the people that you listen to just because you were supposed to don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Right.
And like now that we're able to form our own opinions and like use them in the world, I just have zero tolerance for some of this boomer bullshit. But I wanted to circle back to this. Gen Z is a little annoying to me because they're like so in touch with like their emotions and like they've kind of romanticized like I'm feeling down, so I'm gonna take a me day. Like there is parts of that I cannot stand. I think it's just it's a little annoying, but that's just me. I don't know, maybe that's what's left of the boomer influence on me, I guess.
Well, yeah, and I don't know, I think Gen Z I think there's a part of them that just doesn't care, and I don't know what it's like growing up right now in the world. I don't, obviously, but I imagine growing up nowadays is just as hard as it was when we were growing up. You know, like I think we had bullying the worst because everyone was still trying to figure out social media, and like the easiest thing to do on social media is be mean and like be an asshole. Like, it's just so easy. So we had to go through a lot of that, but I don't know. I imagine it's still tough growing up.
So this certainly isn't like a novel thought, but like I actually think it's tougher to grow up now because like think about when you were like 11, 12, 13, you're like hitting puberty. Think about all the embarrassing shit you did and how much worse it would have been if you had broadcast to the world.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I always think about that. That's kind of like I'm glad that things happen and then went into the past and died and aren't fucking captured on the internet.
Right. I agree. No, I agree with you. I think, I give it to them. They're doing it, and they're, I think they're cool, and I think Gen Z is also the reason that TikTok's even still around. Like some of the content that Gen Z is putting out on TikTok is so funny. Some of it's stupid and cringe because they're still young and still don't fully understand like how to be a good storyteller or what things you should say and shouldn't, and this is gonna sound weird, but like there's words that they still like don't know and stuff. So like they're still figuring it out, but man, they're pretty fucking good.
This is just me being like, my feelings are hurt. I hate that they have a nickname for millennials. Like, are we that fucking different?
What do they call us?
Fucking chuggies, I think. It's like CHEUGY. Yeah, look it up. It's a real thing. And it infuriates me because I'm like, dude, we lived the same childhood. Like, I was born in 95. Like, if you were born in 2000, our childhoods were not that different. Like, give me a fucking break.
Oh, okay. How do you say it?
I think it's chuggy.
You're right. Chuggy.
Here, I'm gonna look it up for
I Urban Dictionary'd it. The opposite of trendy.
Yeah.
Stylish in middle school and high school, but no longer in style. Used when someone still follows these out-of-date trends. This may include, but not be limited to, fashion, habits on social media, usage of... So, no. To be fair, me and you would use social media a whole lot different than, like, my millennial cousins who are 35, 36, 37. Like, 10 years. Like, millennials span such a large age gap, and technology was booming so much that, like, even the back end of millennials and front end of millennials are, like, so different.
I mean, I agree, but I saw a millennial getting roasted the other day because she had houseplants in her house. And they're like, that's so chuggy. I'm like, what? What does that mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying, dude. Imagine growing up and there was like a word for like the previous generation and everyone used it because of social media. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's funny as shit. That's so funny.
The one that infuriated me the most, because it hit way too close to home. Like, I don't have houseplants in the house, but it was this girl. She was a Gen Z and she was dating a guy that was like 6 or 7 years older than her. Mm-hmm. And she was making fun of the chuggy way that he used emojis, texting. And like, it was like a 3-minute TikTok of her dissecting all the ways that he looks stupid. I'm like, are people judging me when I use emojis now? Is that what it's come to?
Yeah, they are.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's hurtful.
People are judging you all the time, but...
Oh yeah, I know. I'm an easy target, but in general, I shouldn't have to worry about this shit.
I agree. Oh, you taught me something today, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I still don't know. I still don't know that if that's how you pronounce it.
That's what Urban Dictionary says. But honestly, you know what? It would be like
the most chuggy thing.
The most chuggy thing is that we're like mispronouncing it.
This is like the first occurrence of like millennial boomerism, where we're like, what is that? Is that chuggy? How do you say that? Yeah, exactly. Lifting up the glasses. Do you know this person?
Oh, fuck. I love it. I think Zillennials are cool, and they're cool as shit.
See, I've never heard that term. It makes sense, but
Gen Z's dope. Like some of them are really cringe. Like the super TikTok trendy Gen Z's, like the Bryce Halls and I'm not gonna say Addison Rae. She's from Louisiana. Boot up, but all those others are like, ugh. So. But I don't know. I fuck with most of them.
What do you think moving to LA did to Addison's body count? What kind of multiplier are you putting on it? I also don't know why I said it like that. Multiplier, like, it's pretty chuggy of me. But what do you think? What do you think that did to her body count?
So I mean, like you could say it like it increased it sevenfold. Here's the thing, though. Doesn't she hang out with her parents and family a lot, and her mom?
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I don't care how famous you are. It's weird if you're like doing stuff like that, like with your mom around all the time. You know.
Let's put a Nick Jr. spin on it then. What multiplier do you put on her DMs that she received?
Oh, I mean,
million?
Yeah, at least. I mean,
Yeah.
at least, you know.
Because I'm going to be honest, she's not an unattractive young woman. You know what I mean?
Dude, oh, she's gorgeous.
So.
And she's from Louisiana, so you know.
So you know she's batshit crazy.
She's with it.
But also with it.
She's with it. Man, to be a TikTok star, huh?
Do you get paid for, like, I understand that it can, like, parlay into other sponsorship opportunities, but are you able to get paid through the app?
My understanding is that TikTok has that creator fund.
Oh, that's right.
But my understanding is that's the only way to get paid through TikTok directly for just posting videos and getting views. And you get paid like a few cents per 1,000 views or something.
Because you have to wonder, like, if you are, and I hate this term, but if you are an influencer,
right? You're such a chuggy. You're such a chuggy.
I am.
Shit.
But if that is your like 9 to 5, I feel like Instagram is the only viable platform to actually make like a shit ton of cash really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like YouTube, which takes a little more effort, but yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I should. Yeah, not quite what I meant. I agree.
Like between Twitter and Instagram and TikTok.
I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean it as harsh as it sounds. I mean like low effort content creation.
Oh yeah, like shorter, shorter dosage.
Photos, sound bites, things like that.
Oh,
I feel like Instagram is the superior.
Sure.
Yeah. But
yeah, I agree. But it's also harder. I think it's harder. It's harder to be seen on Instagram than it is on the other two as well. So
yeah, I guess it kind of like
Twitter and TikTok or scroll. All you have to do is scroll. But with Instagram, you have to go to discover and move. Right. You can't just scroll on Instagram and find it, you know?
Yeah, no, that makes sense for sure.
So, for what it's worth.
But yes, to answer your question, to be any kind of social media famous, not have to be a soul-crushed employee that's the dream.
Well, and speaking of content creation, someone who never has to work another day in their life is my friend and yours, Timmy Tinders.
Oh, the GOAT. The GOAT.
Tim. So last week when we did the show, we were talking about Lupo.
Right.
And then the next day, Tim announced he's going to YouTube. And we have a TikTok. You should go see it. We'll link it at the bottom, right? We'll link our TikTok in the bottom.
Yeah, we'll find a way to get him there.
So, but there's a clip of us talking about Lupo going to YouTube and kind of what it does, and I don't want this to be a slight to Lupo, but Tim moving to YouTube changes the game. He's a top. I mean, I don't know how many other people are ahead of him and Nick Merckx. I can think of like
12.
2 or 3 off the top.
When he moved over, he was the 12th highest viewed streamer. Yeah.
So for a top 15 streamer on your platform to leave, and Tim doesn't just get straggler viewers. Like the people watching Tim they watched him.
Yeah. Well, it's indicative because like Tim is kind of an enigma because he is not good at video games. Maybe it's being harsh, but like
he's better than like an average person.
Yeah.
But he's usually the worst of the people he plays with.
But like, so for example, I watch a lot of Nick Merckx. I watch Nick because he's good at fucking shooters, right? Like he is funny, he is entertaining, but I'm there to watch him fucking shred. Like if I'm watching Tim, it's because I want to laugh at Tim. Like that's just kind of, you know. But I think it's a game changer in so many ways. Like we were talking before we started, watching that quad stream with Courage, him, Lupo, and Dr. Disrespect was so much fun. You know, it had been so long since we had seen Tim and Doc have that banter. Really enjoyed it. I think he's gonna we talked last week about how Lupo moving over is enough for YouTube to invest. Like, that's enough reason to improve their gaming portion of their platform.
Yeah.
Tim just, he multiplies that by, insert a number. But he's once again, and then there's also some feel that he's one of many, right? Because I was reading that a lot of these big time streamers, they all signed their contracts with Twitch at around the same time because they were all part of that first wave that Twitch locked down with big bucks. So a lot of their contracts are going to be ending all at the same time. And so don't be surprised if he's one of many. I think a lot of people have predicted that Nick is going to be next. I don't know. But it's very interesting because you can't say that YouTube doesn't have big guns anymore, because between Doc and Tim now, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, since Tim moved, I've not turned on Twitch. And the way that I interact with Twitch is I will go to watch a big streamer, and then throughout the day I'll kind of straggle off, but then come back to the big streamer. But if none of the big streamers I want to watch are on the platform anymore, I'm probably not going to go there in the first place. Right. So it's a big strike for them. I'm interested to see what the next few months hold. See if anybody else follows suit.
Right. And we were talking, and we're not the only ones, obviously. A lot of people have been having this conversation that while YouTube is the best for discoverability offline, it's a little tougher when you're online. Yeah. And there's no hosting feature. Like Twitch is such its own bubble and its own containment that you could watch someone on Twitch in the morning and leave it on, and you'll always be watching someone who's live on Twitch through host and through raid and all of this stuff. So that's something that YouTube needs to work on. But we did get, so there was an interesting, I don't know if you saw this, but there was an interesting sort of thing on Twitter. Ryan Wyatt, who is his bio just says head of gaming at YouTube. His profile picture is tough.
Wait, hold on. Let's take a look. Let's take a peek.
Yeah, pull it up.
What is his name, you said?
Ryan Wyatt. It's Twitter. It's at FWIZ. Fwiz is his handle.
Wait, Ryan spell Wyatt. It again?
FWIZ.
Oh, that's not what I heard. Hold on. Let's get old Ryan. I don't know, man. He looks kind of like a Chad.
A little bit. It's fine. But anyway, so he this is what he said when Tim came over. His sort of thing. He said, "We're building the best gaming platform in the world for creators, publishers, and gamers. Our work isn't done yet. In many ways, it's just starting." And he was talking to someone. I don't remember when, where, or what it was, but the idea for YouTube gaming seems to be a very slow approach. And what they're doing is they're building out their YouTube gaming space, but they're doing it with their creators. So these creators, Lupo, Tim, Courage, Ray, there's a few others I forget, but these are the people who are going to be helping to build YouTube gaming. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of changes for a long time, but the changes they're going to make, I think, are going to be very substantial.
Well, I think that is a home run, because I think what has hurt YouTube in the past is the advances that they've tried to make in gaming. They tried to make themselves. It wasn't really a feedback based thing, and then they would push out this stuff, and the people who were on the platform were still you're really not making us competitive with the Goliath, which at the time was Twitch, right? And still is, but maybe that's trending in another direction. It's a genius move, because these are the folks that benefited most from what worked really well at Twitch. Right. They are also the ones who encountered the most pain points, because they had the most viewers, they had the most interaction, throughput through their brand. They had the most pain points out of any creators on Twitch. So you almost get like a full cheat sheet right out of the gate, because to be honest with you, and maybe this is unfair, I'm considering YouTube gaming not even out of the gate. Like, no offense to Courage, no offense to Ray, it's not even out of the gate yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's starting now, but you've basically got a cheat sheet to get it done right the first time you pilot something that's unique, and not just, hey, you're subscribed to this person and there's a red dot over their avatar. They're live. Why don't you check them out?
Yeah, and the live streaming is not going anywhere. And something that I don't really watch Devin Nash all that much. I think he's a little pompous, but he did say some good things recently in something I saw where, you know, live streaming has changed a lot recently, and Tim is one of the guys who has really, I mean, truly been at the head of it, and honestly spearheaded some of it. And I think Nick Merckx is up there. Ludwig is up there. I don't know if you know Ludwig, but he's up there. But these are all streamers who, over the last year and a half, 2 years, live streaming has no longer been their priority. Their priority and their focus has been on making content for YouTube. And something that I think is interesting is they use their streams to make content that will later go on YouTube. And I know that that's a fact, that that's how they're doing it, and that's their focus, because they'll say things like they'll have their editor immediately ready to go to put something on YouTube that they were doing in the game or whatever. So,
well, yeah, like Tim and Nick will do their intro. Well, not Nick doesn't do his intros, but they'll take time out. They'll say, "Hey, chat, I'm about to do this for YouTube," and they will look straight in the camera, and it's a little uncomfortable. Not that it's necessarily any different than anything else they're doing. But you're absolutely right. Like, they're trying to prioritize that as an outreach platform. But I will say this, like, Tim, Nick, these guys, what they've done is they've created communities, right? Like, you know, I think it's like you mentioned with Tim, it's not general viewership that he's pulling in. He's pulling, you know, the Tatman army, right? Nick Merckx is pulling in the M-Fam. Like, Dr. Disrespect is pulling in the Champions Club. Like, these are communities, right? Like, these are people that are going to be with them no matter where they go. And that, I think that's what separates those guys from the other top level streamers remaining on Twitch. And you kind of made a really good point that I want to touch on. Like, you mentioned Ludwig. To me, I think that is where Twitch's home is going to be. In that, I don't know how to put this delicately, but the content creators who are riding the really popular waves, so like the Call of Duty bros, or like the people who jumped on the Apex wagon, like, they're going to be the people that the random viewer is going to be tuning in to watch. Whereas I think what's going to be left behind on Twitch are people who are wanting to see content outside of that sphere. So like Ludwig is a good example, right? Like, he got his start doing like Smash and Pokemon, and he continues to push content similar to that, as well as his just chatting streams, like his band streams, his Amazon purchase streams, like all of those things, right? I think Twitch is going to become the platform for like niche activity, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. It's not going to be the AAA titles that are dominating gaming space. It's going to be the more comfortable, I guess you might want to call it, campy creators that, you know, feel more like you're hanging out with a stranger and not part of a bigger community that's literally watching a live event, right? I think that's what's going to become the delineation. And if YouTube can capture, you know, the Call of Duty bros, like I called them, like, that's huge for them, because that's where the money's going to be.
Well, and two, with YouTube, and kind of backtracking a bit on, you talked about the Call of Duty bros, right? Like, who knows what people like to see more than someone like Tim the Tatman, who gained how many viewers and how many people just trying to watch him get his first win in Fall Guys.
Yeah.
Like, that was a world event, and no one plays Fall Guys anymore. And Fall Guys wasn't, at the time, it was fun because it was a new concept and people were tired of Battle Royale. But Tim is gone. He started all the way back in, it was like Black Ops, and then it was CSGO. And then there was another game in between there, Overwatch. It was Overwatch. And then Overwatch to Fortnite. And then Fortnite to a little bit back to Overwatch, and then Warzone. Like, Tim understands riding the wave. And I think a lot of these other guys do too. I'm just using Tim because he's been on the platform, I think, a little longer than some of these other guys. But
yeah.
But, like, Tim is probably, on the platform, the best person you're going to get right now. And, like, I think Nick Merckx is a great streamer, but Tim can turn things on and off, and Tim also has a little bit more of a filter than Nick Merckx.
Well, that's a really good point. Tim is the most marketable out of all the guys that you've named. Even though Nick Merckx has way more partnerships,
Yep.
Tim is like the epitome. I mean, that's why like Chipotle's in on him and all the rest of it.
I mean, Herman Miller.
Yeah.
This bougie chair who I need to get one of those.
Same, actually. This banker's chair I'm sitting in is so worn out. I have to put a pillow down because the ass of it is just like the springs poking to my ass.
I stole this chair from LSU's campus when I was still a student.
Rock on.
So yeah. Anyways, but Tim is like the best guy they could get. Like, they're like, I don't think Pokemon's leaving, because I think Pokemon was probably the best person they could have gotten. She's extremely marketable and she's female.
Yeah.
But outside of like Pokemon, I think Tim is the guy. Like XQC, and they don't, and YouTube also. If I'm YouTube, I don't want Tommy in it, or someone like that who's a child. No offense, he's getting the bag. Proud of you, brother. But like,
no, but that's what I'm saying.
Tim's
like
31.
Like Twitch's home is going to be for guys like that, the kids, the niche. But I will say this is like, I will battle that Dr. Disrespect is the most entertaining streamer.
Live streamer, yes.
Yes, but Tim has mastered streaming better than anybody else in this sense. Because you mentioned how he jumped from all of these shooters, right? But what you didn't mention is he has an entire following that is dedicated to watching him when he plays MMOs. That doesn't tune in when he's playing Warzone. That doesn't tune in when he's playing Valorant, but does tune in when he's playing New World or is playing World of Warcraft.
That's going to be very interesting on YouTube because Tim is gonna play New World. Like he just will, and like so will Courage. Courage is gonna play New World, and I think a true test on if a platform can stand as a streaming platform is, will people watch something like an MMO or a Minecraft or one of these games that is very slow and is not a point-in-time game? Like a Battle Royale is a point in time. You can tune in for 30 minutes and see an entire game. But with Minecraft and New World, you can tune in for 30 minutes and see literally fucking nothing, right? Like, it's a totally different platform, and we'll see how YouTube responds, because me and you have talked about it. We're playing New World. And speaking of, I think New World would be a really good first game for the channel. I know we talked about some others, but I think New World would be fun. We'd have to be a little choppy with it and figure it out. But anyways, I think that'll be a really good test for YouTube as well. But I'm excited to see the changes that some of these people are making, because that they're talking to Ray, they're talking to Courage, they're talking to Tim and Lupo. And to be honest, I don't think they're last. I think we're probably going to see one or two more guys go over. I would not be surprised to see a guy like Summit or a guy like Lyric move over.
Well, I think the only exception with Summit is his contract is much newer than the rest of these guys are. Like, he just re-signed a couple years.
True.
And he's also hinted very heavily that he's going to retire to go make his own game. We'll see if that comes to pass. I honestly, and I don't want to continue to harp on this, but YouTube's survival is dependent upon Doc, period. Even though he doesn't have an exclusive deal, And I think that's partly because of what's still ongoing with him and Twitch. I don't think he can actually enter into a contract yet, because I know he's got, he's hinted that he's got lawsuits or whatever else. But he was on record the other day of saying that Twitch is still the superior platform. So imagine a world in which, and I don't think this would ever happen, but imagine a world in which they have leadership turnover, those lawsuits get settled, and he has an opportunity to return to Twitch, to resume a contract or start a new one. Like, I think YouTube needs to make keeping him there a priority, because he's very open to going elsewhere. And right now he's free to do that. So it's important that they get him. I don't know what the status of Z-Laner is. I don't know if he re-signed with Facebook or if he's still non-exclusive. He needs to be another one. They need the Doc and Z-Laner show. YouTube needs to lock down as soon as they're able to. And it's going to take some money, but I think that's important for them as well.
I mean, so like I see that. I don't know that it's like an end all be all per se of it, because I'm trying to formulate thoughts, because there is something to that where I think it is important that, I think it's more of a bigger concept, not necessarily the not that it's Doc per se and him. Like, he is very entertaining and he is a great person to have on your platform, but I think it's more so the fact that YouTube not necessarily needs to prioritize keeping Doc, but YouTube needs to prioritize keeping their top streamers. So it's not Doc because he's Doc for me. It's Doc because he's one of their top streamers, and they need to keep those guys while they figure it out.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm just saying, I'm speaking in extreme hypotheticals, but imagine a world where you find a way to capture the Tatman Army, MFAM, and Champions Club, and you have that all three of those communities interacting with your platform and circulating through, bouncing from viewers. Because when they were all on Twitch, that's what happened, right? Viewers would bounce back and forth. There was some like healthy shit talking and banter between chats, and it was there's a lot of synergy between those three. If you can recreate that on YouTube, you've locked down, I mean, let's be perfectly candid, you've locked down probably 10% of the world streaming viewership right there in one fell swoop. Maybe that's a little high. Maybe it's closer to 5%, but it's considerable. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. And again, as we've discussed, I'm a big Doc fan. You're not as much. So, I'm trying not to look at it through those lenses, but I think it's objectively true that his community is a lot like Tim's community. I mean, he could start his own platform tomorrow, and they'll go onto that new platform even if nobody's on it. Yeah, and it's one of those deals.
Yeah, I think if there's a negative chance that Doc leaves YouTube, because there's nowhere else to go. Like Twitch, for as far as we know, Twitch isn't taking him back, and I don't think he'd even want to go back. I think he'd rather be on YouTube without being a YouTube gaming partner than go back to Twitch, even if it was on a contract, because they're obviously willing to at any point just let it go. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I can see a guy, like, there's a lot of people with these like really crazy big followings. A guy like Tfue comes to mind. And I think YouTube also needs to try and capture esports as well. If they can because once they get the hosting and rating and moving channels around and that kind of bubble thing figured out, then you can start saying, well, hey, we have a huge community that loves, Call of Duty, Vanguard or whatever. And you can kind of keep that bubble, and then you have like WoW or League, right? Like, comes to mind. So I it's there. There's possibilities there, and YouTube's just made all the right moves at this point.
Well, I'll say this too, like, and we can move on to another topic if you want, but I think So you've mentioned a couple of times like the raid and hosting function. I don't know that generates and keeps viewership. I don't know that I feel the same way about that. I think raiding and hosting helps middle tier streamers a lot more than it helps low level or high level, just based on the way that ecosystem operates. But I think what's important and what YouTube needs to figure out, where they're losing to Twitch, is because Amazon has such a foothold on the world and just about everybody has a Prime membership, it allows anyone who interacts with their platform to support a streamer of their choice, even if they're too broke to do so otherwise. And that's a huge thing. If I know that I can get perks from the streamer I am most dedicated to by using a Prime subscription, then I'm going to do that, especially if I'm only tuning into the platform for one particular content creator, right? And so the thought has been thrown around like YouTube could create something similar with Premium, but you and I both know that YouTube Premium and Amazon Prime are not created equal. What else do I get short of ad-free videos, YouTube Music? What are you giving me as a Premium subscriber? Not as much, right? So that's something else that YouTube needs to figure out, is in what ways can you give people the opportunity to interact with the people that they view without having to spend additional money? Because right now YouTube's entire ecosystem is built on donation base. Super chat is a donation, straight up donations, membership is a donation, right? There's nothing real, there's no ability for me to interact with you for free in a way that puts me in another tier so that I'm not just a general chat member, right? I think that needs to be YouTube's next step. Try to prioritize something in that domain.
Yeah, and so I mean, I get that. I just don't think that is as big of a priority as like cultivating communities. And I think having communities and finding ways, like you're right, like the Prime is big and you can make people feel a part of a community with a Prime sub, and you get to do that for free. But like, when I remember watching Twitch like years ago, one of the coolest things that I was ever doing was I was watching a streamer and they said, "Hey, I'm heading off, but you guys go in, we're gonna go raid this person, they're a good person, and show them love and yada yada, whatever," right? And you go in and you spam their emotes and do all the thing, and you do the raid, and like that's like a community thing that you do. And when you feel a sense of community and you feel like you relate to a certain group of people and you like a particular streamer, like you're just going to keep going back to them. And so that's why I think it's more of a priority for the hosting and the rating and building up that UI of being able to find streamers rather than like a competitor to Twitch Prime.
Yeah,
because Twitch was big before Prime, and very few streamers at this point like plug Twitch Prime all the time.
Yeah.
They'll do it a little bit, but Twitch Prime isn't what's keeping Twitch going. And neither is rating or hosting. Building...
There is data that supports that Prime is what keeps it going in terms of being a profitable business. What I'll try to do is I'll try to find the data for the next conversation we have, next week's talk. But I have seen it that the way that most people interact with Twitch is what I mentioned, that they're going for one person. And in fact, rating, or hosting is actually just a frustration point for most viewers, because it's not going to keep their attention for long. Like, they're not going to stay in the community. But none of that really matters. I think what you spoke on earlier is the key, right? They've got established content creators who have seen it work at its best, who have seen it work at its worst. They're far more qualified than you or I to talk on what's broken, what's working. So hopefully they get good feedback and they capture the feedback. It's not enough to just get them in a room. Let's make sure that they're actually implementing the feedback that they're getting from these exclusively signed creators. But we've been kind of hung up on this a little bit. I did want to kind of shift to another gaming topic.
Yep.
Excuse me, that beer is fighting back. So Call of Duty Vanguard, been a lot of buzz on the multiplayer that's dropped, a lot of folks testing out the beta. Have you had an opportunity to check any of it out? What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it, and I've watched some of. I watched Tim play it a little bit, and then one of my favorite streamers right now is Legion, Legiqn. He's fucking hilarious. But I was watching him play it as well. Here's my thing with Call of Duty. I've not really been a huge Call of Duty fan for a while. I think Call of Duty suffers from some of the same issues I have with like Madden and 2K and FIFA, those sports games, where it just feels like the same shit all the time to me. And I understand different creators make the game feel different. So like Black Ops feels different than Modern Warfare, which feels different than whatever, right? I get that. And that's true. They do feel different, but it's just always the same to me. And so I am not super hyped I'm not hyped for Vanguard. I'll check it out. But if I'm playing Call of Duty, like I'm probably playing Warzone, and which I have no desire to play at this point.
Well, that was actually going to be my next question. So with the new map and the new aesthetic, we'll call it, and they're running it on Vanguard's engine, what is it going to take for you to come back to Warzone and stay? And when I say stay, I mean around the same amount of time you stayed on it when Verdansk first dropped. What do you need to see?
I don't think it will. I genuinely don't think they'll be able to. The problem I have with like Warzone right now, it's not even cheaters. I don't play, it's crossplay, but I play on console, and I'm not good enough to get into cheater lobbies, right?
Right.
My problem with Warzone is that if you're not up to date on stuff and you don't play it consistently, you cannot win in those games really ever, because the way that the loadout system works is you have to have a gun, and you usually have to have it fully upgraded for you to be able to have the best loadout on that weapon. That's the meta at that time. And because of that, you have to play quite a bit with that gun, and you have to play with a shitty version of it to most effectively upgrade it. And my problem is I don't play Warzone all that often, so I'm either relying on floor loot or I'm relying on an old loadout. I'm still using the Bruin. If I was to hop in, I'd still use the Bruin, because that's just what was popular when I was playing. But the Bruin can't play with like the Krig 6 now, so like I am completely disinterested in Warzone, and I think it's a great game, and I think a lot of people love it, and I'm not hating on it. For me, the loadout system sucks. Like if I want to hop into Destiny and play PvP, which Keck W play PvP in Destiny in 21st century, whatever. Yeah. Like all I need is the gun. All I need is that one gun, and you can have a bunch of different roles, but those roles are very specific and technical. Like if you have a really good AR, it doesn't matter what the role is, that AR is going to be very good. And Warzone's just not that kind of game.
Yeah, I feel that. I find it interesting that you brought Destiny into the fold, because I have the same exact concerns with Destiny as somebody who played D1 and then played D2 at launch and has come in and out of it. If you spend time away from it, it is not accessible. Like you and I both know that right now, if I wanted to play with you, I'm going to have to do some work on my own. So maybe that's just
depends on what it is. So I mean, this is an offline conversation, because I don't think people are going to care about Destiny. But yes and no. But I understand your concern. I hear.
I'm just saying maybe that's just a reality of today's shooter genre, is that there's that they expect some of the gameplay loop to be tied into grinding, right? That they expect you to suffer is not the right word, but they expect you to use less than ideal gear in the hopes that you can get to your perfect storm, right? Because for me, I would rather an approach like Call of Duty where at least I can see the progression, right? You mentioned like roles and stuff. Like, I don't want to leave my ability to feel the best with my loadout to RNG. But I totally understand where you're coming from in terms of being just kind of disconnected from Warzone. I didn't really have any thoughts about it. Like, I saw yesterday that the new map was dropping, and today was the first day that I actually like digested the video and all of that. I don't know, we'll see. I'm kind of like you, I have never been a Call of Duty multiplayer guy. I have always felt like the TTK and Call of Duty games is just brutal. Like, it almost makes like the learning curve take twice as long, because like you can't even like learn positioning and like learn tactics because the TTK is so just freaking brutal. So I'm actually kind of echoing your sentiment in that it's not that I'm like, I'll give it a try probably, but there's not a lot of excitement. They're gonna have to pull some crazy stops to get me back in and locked in.
Well, and part of it too is like one of their big things that they're harping on, right, is the destructible environment or whatever. And like, that's fine, that's cool. I don't care about it. And so while you were talking, I was thinking in my mind, I'm like, what else is it about Call of Duty? Because it can't just be the guns. It's this. There's such a high skill gap in shooter games like that, and maybe it's just a complaint I have of battle royale games in general. But like, I can't hop on and just like I'm not gonna hop onto Fortnite and win one of my first 3 or 4 games, you know. And that's probably the point. They want you to keep playing and keep learning, but it's so hard in Warzone to do that. And still have a good time. Like when we were playing, like one of your biggest complaints was you didn't like camping, right? And like staying in one spot for a long time, which I totally get and I understand, and I echo that to a point. But like when you're not very good at the game, if you want to win, you have to do some of the stuff that's not very fun just to try and win up front, right? And your goal is to just surprise people at that point. I think that the skill gap's just gotten out of control. Same thing with Fortnite. Like, the skill gap in Fortnite is unreal. Seeing some of those little crack kids build is unreal.
Right. Yeah, so I'm interested to see, what the player base does. I'm interested to see if folks come back. I always feel kind of bad watching a lot of these content creators that are so in bed with Warzone content that they don't have a choice, right? They all are kind of in agreement that I don't think that it's. I have to give it credit because it did what no battle royale was able to do, which was dethrone Fortnite for a certain period of time. But I think what you're seeing now is a lot of the folks who were very committed to Fortnite are returning, and a lot of the folks who were committed to Warzone are now watching Apex streams. So this idea that Raven Software is just going to push out a new map and that's going to solve other problems, I think is a little. They've got to try a little harder than that, right? They've got to come with some creativity. And to be honest, man, I don't know if this stuff is going to bleed into Warzone itself. I think it will because they're using the same engine. I was looking at some of the perks that they were like highlighting and was not a fan. Like the one in particular I saw was like a carbon copy of the one that they just added to Verdansk, like traditional Warzone, where like you can see people through buildings and shit.
Yeah.
If that to me is like, I don't understand how anyone can defend that as a perk. Not that like, Call of Duty is a casual game. It doesn't need to be like competitive to its gills, but like that seems so counterintuitive to trying to get skillful at a game. If somebody can fucking wall hack me at any moment, like that's crazy to me. And that was one of the big perks that they highlighted. I'm like, there's some things that just Call of Duty will never learn. Like they just keep doing the same shit over and over and over again. but people keep fucking buying the titles, so it's not like they have any reason to change it up. Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of other games I'm way more excited about. That Vanguard is absolutely gonna get pushed to the curb for me, and I'll play when it goes on sale, maybe.
Yeah. I'm there with you. Between Battlefield and Halo Infinite, it's not even on. True. I was thinking shooters, but yeah, no, we are committing to New World for sure. Either be it fully on streams or not.
Either way, we'll be playing, and I think it's worth. I mean, it's worth putting 40 to 60 hours into New World and just see where it gets us. Honestly,
offhand when it drops.
Yeah, September into this month. They
Dude,
pushed
time
it back.
is flying.
It was supposed to already be out. Let's see. Yeah, September 28th. So 20 days, less than 3 weeks.
Dude, I'm actually glad you brought that up. I'm seeing a lot of developers do that lately, where Halo's done it. I think Battlefield had a push too. Developers are really committing to taking their time if their game isn't ready, and I think that's in direct contrast to where we've been the last few years, where we'll just push out garbage and then patch it, over its first few weeks.
Yeah,
right.
And that's good, and I think it's good that developers are more willing to do that, but we've seen it happen, and then it's still a shit game that comes out. So in my mind, I'm like, how bad was it before?
That's fair.
Like, how bad was it? And I'm willing to give, because I think a lot of these developers are still working from home, so I'm willing to give them sort of a little bit of leeway on that. Like I get it, it's tough, but yeah, I mean, I'm glad they are and pushing it back. I think people just want quality over everything, so we'll see. I'm excited.
It's wild to think about a time where we cut our teeth as video game consumers, like back in like the PS2, GameCube era, where like you released a game and that was it. That was the one shot you got.
What was the first game you ever played?
First game I ever played was the original Super Mario Brothers. My parents had an NES in their bedroom. The first game that made an impact on me, the first one that like got me into gaming.
Wait, can we say it? Because I think I know it.
Do you want to guess, or you want to say it at the same time?
Like we're same time. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Ocarina of Time. Nah. My babysitter, her son had a Nintendo 64, and Ocarina of Time was the first game. I spent weeks like watching him play through it, and I was amazed. And then once he would never let me play it because he was kind of an asshole. But once he got bored with it, he would like let me play it. He was like, "Oh, I don't care anymore," and changed my life, dude. I still love Ocarina of Time to this day, but that's what got me into gaming. Kingdom Hearts came shortly thereafter, but it was Legend of Zelda first.
My first game was the world-renowned, award-winning game Frogger.
Woo!
On the PlayStation 1. Well, just on the PlayStation. But dude, I played Frogger, and then I played Jak and Daxter, and those games were great. But Kingdom Hearts was the first game that I played that made me feel like I was in like this other world, and I was like, it was the first game that I was like, wow, this is awesome. There's hidden stuff and these big, huge bosses. Like, it's unreal.
Kingdom Hearts is so frustrating because I'm right there with you. When Kingdom Hearts dropped, so I was a big Disney kid growing up. That's what drew me in. I wasn't into Final Fantasy, but I was into Disney. That's what brought me in, and I was hooked. But like, now if you try to introduce Kingdom Hearts to someone new, it's so hard because the writing hasn't aged very well. Like, I still look on it with a lot of favor and like rose-colored glasses, but it's so hard to like some of the funniest videos on the internet is like Kingdom Hearts out of context, because some of the shit just in a vacuum is so cringy. And I wish that wasn't the case, because I'm right there with you. It was such an impactful series. But even now, like when Kingdom Hearts 3 dropped, I didn't even finish Kingdom Hearts 3 because I just felt like I couldn't connect with it anymore. And it's definitely on my short list to do eventually. I'm going to try to power through it, but
Well, games have also evolved past button mashing, right?
Yeah.
Like that was, and that's Kingdom Hearts. Like you're there because the music is awesome. You're in this Disney world and you get to play with these Disney characters, and the story's goofy and it's funny, you know.
See what you did there. Yeah.
Oh, wait, fuck! I can't do a goofy voice.
Of yuck.
There you go. There you go. Winner. So, but like games are not button mashers anymore. Like I don't know that there's two different game style, like fighting game styles than like you have Kingdom Hearts on one end and like Dark Souls on the other.
Oh yeah. Well, in fact, like that's what made Dark Souls so tough for me the first time I played it. I love it now. But like I heard all the hype and I'm like, this shit is hard as fuck. Like, you mean to tell me that I can get caught in an animation and get fucking clubbed across the map? Like, no way. The muscle memory was of button mashing to try to go to that to like, you know, the next big series that I got into was Monster Hunter, which as you know is very similar to Dark Souls in that like it's animation heavy and you can get locked into things. When I first moved to that, I was like, the only reason I continued to play Monster Hunter was because I had a friend in school who had a PSP and no one played with him. And I saw an opportunity to like, oh, like we can make this our thing. Like it's a friend. I was really young. And, yeah, I had to like push through because it was a learning curve. It was like otherworldly. It's not even same sphere.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, so all of that to say games have come a really long way. So quality over quantity, I think you're seeing from a lot of the older gamers who are saying we've seen some crap games in our life. Like, just give me something good to play. I can wait. Time moves by pretty fast when you get older. So,
yeah, for sure.
Nice. Well, it's a nice trip down memory lane.
Yeah, it was. So
I see you have the schedule.
Yeah. So I wanted to. I'm gonna kind of make a pivot here. We'll sandwich our gaming conversation with 2 loaves of sports bread here today.
Sure.
So we talked a little bit about college. Obviously, NFL kicks off this Thursday.
Yeah.
And so I figured,
if you're okay, we can start. I'm curious. We can talk about the games and stuff, but like the story of the offseason is Deshaun Watson, right? And like I think so. I think it's I'm
not sure what else it would be. It's impossible. Well, yeah, it's impossible to feel any sympathy for him. You know, I usually don't like casting like broad strokes with stuff like this, but I think the sentiment is true that if that many women come out and say that you're a scumbag, there's probably some truth to you're a scumbag. Yeah. So there's no sympathy for him. I think the league is going to hurt without him because I think he was an exciting talent. And to be honest, I don't think he doesn't.
So you think he's done?
I was just about to say, I think he deserves the Ray Rice treatment. I think you have to make, in today's climate, you have to make an example out of him, and he deserves it, right? Like don't make an example out of it just for the example. Like, do it because he deserves it. But it is kind of interesting, man. If I can take a step away from him and kind of like expand on it, to me, the story is just the Texans in general and what a massive implosion that program was. Not that they were ever a legitimate force to be reckoned with in terms of Super Bowl contention. They had some
success. They had some years where you were like, oh, this might be it, you know?
They certainly did. But you know, the memories that stick out for me for the Texans are getting like bounced in the first round by the Colts or the Bengals or like whoever, right? Like just couldn't quite.
No, it's David Carr.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. It's like when you consider the DeAndre Hopkins trade, all of the bullshit that Bill O'Brien brought to that program or that franchise, I should say, and like did basically nothing right. You were so bad that JJ Watt was comfortable leaving, like literally the king of Houston, the most like philanthropic, like self-aware player we have in football, was like, yeah, I'm leaving this town because I just, you know, I'm not doing this shit for nothing. I'm gonna go try to chase a ring, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Deshaun is
Yeah, I thought it was worth mentioning only because like it's kind of a weird situation where you've got teams that would obviously want him to play for them, right? Like Deshaun, talent alone is probably a top 7 quarterback in the league, and that's debatable. I'm not here to debate his talent or anything, but
I was actually gonna say I'd put him a little higher because a lot of the career better guys are in the final stages of their career. So like,
right,
plug him and play him right now. I think he's top 5 easy.
So even more so, right? Where teams want him to play, and like it seemed like the Dolphins were trying to get him for like a really high price. I think they offered. Let me pull it up. I want to say they offered like 2 or 3 first-round picks.
While you're pulling that up, I was actually thinking that same thing. What a lose-lose situation for Miami, because not only do you bring all the negative attention, but like, are you really wanting to set that standard with Tua? Because there's no way Tua can win that competition if you have legitimate plans of playing Deshaun. Like,
well, the idea is probably they send Tua in the trade, right?
True.
You wouldn't think that'd be part of it?
Well, I guess that is true. I was thinking most of the stuff that I saw was like you said, it was pick heavy. It wasn't player heavy. But yeah, I guess that's how you alleviate that problem.
Yeah. So it looks like the Texans wanted 3 firsts, 2 seconds, which I imagine you could do 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and Tua. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Texans, he either never plays again, right? Not just for your team. He never plays in the league again. The CFL would pick him up, but he never plays in the league again. Or, maybe he plays at some point this season. If those women settle, I mean, he'll play. Because there's no video, right? You can't give the Ray Rice treatment to someone who wasn't on video because people are just going to forget about it. And that's just like that. Like, that's not preferable. That's just.
No, I hear that.
The video of Ray Rice is very clearly ingrained into my memory. And I remember those elevator doors opening and seeing that. But, Deshaun is good enough to where some teams just are not going to care, right? So I don't know. And it's lose-lose for the Texans. They either trade away a generational talent or they keep him but can't play him. Like,
it's just
that situation.
It's just fascinating to me that both Texas football franchises have the same problem and that they are in abysmal divisions and just can't get out of their own way, like can't find a way. Now, for 2 completely different reasons, I think the Cowboys it's a Jerry issue and the Texans have just been poorly run. But
I mean,
in general, it's so crazy to me. Like I can't think of a professional sports team that has collapsed the way in such a grand fashion the way the Texans have. And I may be able to think on some and come up with something, but they went from being perennial playoffs to us having the conversation about when are they going to go from being division winners to AFC winners. We were having those talks. It wasn't that long ago we were comparing him apples to apples with Patrick Mahomes. And now look at us. Like, the Texans are by far the worst team in the NFL. Like, it's almost impressive how quickly they've fallen apart. But to be honest, they don't really have to do all that much to win that division. No disrespect to the Titans or the Colts, but like, we've seen how that division plays out. Like, they slug up on each other, and then whoever makes the playoffs gets fucking bounced round 1.
Well, I mean, speaking of playoffs, we can go forward with whatever if you want to just talk about the games. I thought it'd be cool for us to pick playoff teams and kind of see where we're at in 18 weeks.
Yeah, so what? There's seven teams per conference playoffs.
Yeah, 4 division winners and 3 wild card.
So do you want to do this? Do you want to take a division view? We can like talk divisions and talk winners, and then we'll say wild cards at the end.
Yeah.
Hold on. So we can start in the AFC. Since we're talking,
I have AFC East. We can just go in alphabetical order.
Yeah, for sure.
So AFC East: Buffalo, New England, Jets, Dolphins.
I think Buffalo is still the forefronter in that division. I'm interested to see what Mac Jones does. I'm interested to see how Bill Belichick has the Patriots playing. I do feel like history will improve this view, but there's kind of a negative stigma on Bill right now in the Patriot way, and I think it's important for his legacy that they do well this year.
Yeah,
but I think wild card is their ceiling. I don't think they have a shot at the division.
Yeah, I agree. I like Jets long term. I think they're making the right moves to do it. I was actually fairly impressed with Zach Wilson. Not a lot, but I mean enough for me to say, okay, I can see why they picked, Zach Wilson over Mac Jones or whatever.
Right.
Not that that's going to end up being the case because Mac may be phenomenal, but I get it. I'm with you. I think the Bills should probably run away with this thing. Like,
I'll go a step further. I think the Bills probably will be your number 1 seed by a very narrow margin over the Chiefs. But we'll see.
So I think, so I'm with you. Bills win the East. AFC North: Bengals, Browns, Steelers, Ravens. This is a shit division.
A shit in what way? Because so here's the thing. I think the Browns on paper have one of the better teams in football, but they're the Browns. Mm-hmm. Are they culturally prepared to win the division and then make noise in the playoffs? I think that they will break through this year. Baker is still kind of an enigma to me. I never know what to expect from him across a 16, now 17 game season. It always seems to be like he's got a portion of a season that he's just dog water, and then he improves and he puts up really good numbers. And statistically speaking, he's been pretty good. But like, is he going to be really bad against the Ravens twice and lose that division? I don't know. But I think the Browns will win that division. That's probably going to be my least sure pick of the whole process. Ravens couple games back.
Yeah, I think the reason I said it was shit is because I think the Steelers win the division. I think the Ravens regress. I think the Browns regress. And I think the Bengals still are terrible. Like, they're just like the Bengals they got playmakers, and Chase doesn't look all that great. In preseason, he maybe has to shake the rust off. I'm not calling it a bust or anything yet, but I mean, it didn't look good. Right. I think the Steelers win the division, but I think this is one of those that like it's just going to be such a sloppy back and forth. Like, no team seems to really want to win the division, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think the Steelers win. But I mean, the AFC North is their division that could easily have 2 wildcard teams. Right.
Agreed. And that's what I was gonna say. Like, you have, it's a division that has like almost an infinite amount of possibilities. Like, taking the Bengals out of it, the order of the other 3, like, take your pick. Because I actually think the Steelers are a dark horse pick this year to make some wild card noise. I don't think that they'll win the division, but if they win the division, I'm not going to be surprised. Like you said, like, I think all 3 of those teams have enough talent to assert themselves, but in the event that they all just kind of, take the field at 70%, which the Browns have been known to do,
the Browns are slowly becoming what the Cowboys have been for a long time, which is this team that has a lot of talent on the roster, but just can't put it together. Like, we're going on year 4 now of the Browns kind of being this team that people talk about, and they haven't, like, they had some success last year. But I just don't see them continuing that because I'm not sure how much better they got.
Well, the team that What they need to do is they need to find a way to channel the team that was a half away from beating the Chiefs in the playoffs. Because that's what it was. I mean, the first half of that game, they were better. They just were straight up better. If they can find a way to channel that team, I don't think any of the other 3 teams in that division can keep up. But again, culturally, I don't know that they're prepared to sustain that kind of effort across the season.
No, I don't think so. So anyway, so I have Steelers. You have Browns. Okay. AFC South.
This one's a mess.
Titans, Colts, Jags, Texans.
So I will say Titans are your division winner. Colts are a wild card team. Jags and Texans are non-factors.
Yeah. I agree. It's 4 wins. It's 4 free wins for both of these teams.
So prior to Carson Wentz injury, I thought that the Colts were going to win this division. Mm-hmm. Now they are expecting that he may have an opportunity to play this week.
They said he would.
Yeah.
They said he will.
So I don't know. I think I'm very high on Carson. Carson, to me, his regression from his MVP caliber season that ended in injury, it's not a talent thing, it's a mind thing. Like you can see in how he plays that he's timid, that he's skittish. If he can regain some of that confidence in Indy, I think that they win the division easy. Because I don't think that the Titans are runaway favorites. I can appreciate the Julio pick. I can appreciate what Derek is. Tannehill is serviceable, right? Mm-hmm. But I think they're beatable. I really do. Yeah. So I'm picking the Titans with an asterisk that the Colts will be closer than people anticipate because I'm expecting Carson to get a little confidence back.
Yeah, well, Titans, Colts. I mean, we can agree. I don't think either of these teams are making the AFC Championship game. No. I don't think either of these teams are getting out of the first round. But I'll go with Colts because I'm with you. I think it's going to be close at the end. And honestly, I'm just banking like Henry's got to slow down at some point.
Yeah, well, the mileage.
Like there's got to be, and I'd rather fuck it. I'd say he can be good for another few years, but like you don't run as much as Derrick Henry does and get beat up as much as he does. Now he's a physical freak, so he very well could not regress at all this season, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I'm going to go Colts because I think you're right. I think Wentz gets a little bit of swagger back, and I think Frank Reich is going to be a lot better for him than Doug Peterson as well. You get a new coach, a new staff, a new place, a new team, and like the Colts have some of the best culture in the league, right? I mean, the culture up where with the Saints as far as team culture and how people talk about them. So give me the Colts. I don't know. Fuck it. Whatever. But yeah, I think it's close. Titans could very well get in the wild card as well. I don't know who my I'll say my 3 wild card teams after the next one, but I don't know. I don't know if they're there. And then the West, which I think is the most interesting conference in football this year. Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers.
Agreed. Chiefs are winners.
Yes,
period.
Agreed. And we'll both agree on the Chiefs. They win the division.
However, the comment you made about the AFC North is what I'm making about the AFC West, and that I think the Raiders and Chargers both have a legitimate shot at the playoffs and will more than likely make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We'll see with the Raiders. The Raiders have to show that they're not going to pull a Raiders, but they're talented enough to do it. But I'll say, in short, Chiefs win.
So it's funny you say that because I was thinking the exact same thing, except Chargers Broncos.
Interesting.
I like the Broncos. I do. I think they've been young the last couple of years and have shown flashes. And I think if they're going to make the next step, I think this is the year. I think Teddy's going to put them in a position where their defense, which should be really good, Teddy's not going to screw it up for that team. Like, he's not going to blow you away, but he's not going to screw it up. And they have some fucking weapons, dude.
They do, man. If he
They
can
have some
establish
weapons.
if he can establish some rapport with Jerry alone, that could be pretty nasty.
Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. I think Tim Patrick's still there. There's another guy missing. I don't remember. It'll come to me. But I think that I think Chiefs win, and I think Chiefs win pretty easy. KJ Hamler. Oh, no Fant. I think Chiefs win. I don't think it's going to be a runaway like it has been in the past, but I think Chiefs win. And I guess AFC. So my winners for AFC, I had Buffalo, Steelers, Colts, Chiefs.
Who you got coming in, WC?
Wait, what?
Who you got coming in as a wild card?
Wild card, give me Pats, Browns, Chargers. I thought about going Pats, Browns, Ravens, but nah, give me Pats, Browns, Chargers.
Okay, so I've got Browns, Bills, Titans, Chiefs as division winners. My wild cards, Colts, Chargers, Ravens.
Interesting. So no Patriots, no Steelers.
No, so I think the Steelers will actually be a lot closer than the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to have another 500 or below season. I mean, the reality of it is, man, like Cam Newton wasn't the Patriots' issue last year. They just weren't a good football team. So even if Mac is rookie of the year, I don't think it's enough to prevent them from, I think they'll lose to Miami at least once. They'll lose to the Bills twice, I'm expecting. So, and you know that they're going to have big matchups throughout the year because they're the Patriots and they want the TV rating. So, I it's tough. It's hard to not pick the Patriots, but I feel like it's going to be more of the same.
I can see it. Cool. All right. NFC. NFC least, Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, football team. We probably could have stayed this up for last, but
I want to save the West for last because I think it's the best division in football. But the boys are absolutely the best team,
out-wise.
But I think we're going to get more of the same, man. I think your division winner is going to be 9-8. You know what I mean? I think Washington is going to surprise some people this year. They seem to have a real swagger about them. Like they seem to be quietly progressing, getting better. So they seem to be trending in the right direction. It wouldn't shock me if they surprise some folks and win the division. I'm going to take the boys. I don't see any team winning 10 games in that division. So I'm going to say 9-7 victors, Cowboys. Washington close. Eagles and Giants, dumpster fire.
Yeah, give me Washington. I think Washington wins the division. I think you're right. Cowboys have the most talent. I just don't believe in Mike McCarthy. I don't believe in Ezekiel Elliott, and I think that defense has some big problems, and people are overlooking the fact that they addressed their linebacker issues with a rookie. So
yeah, and I'll tell you something else, man. You mentioned McCarthy. I don't know if you took in Hard Knocks. I have never seen, because we obviously don't get these looks very often, I have never seen a group of grown men respect someone less than that Cowboys team respects McCarthy. And it's all in nonverbals. It's all in body language. It's all in how they respond to him. That team cannot fucking stand that dude. So I think that alone is going to cause them to drop games because they're not going to be focused. They're not going to be one team for that guy.
Right. But they're lucky they play in the worst conference in football. So
yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, Washington, and I'm not going to have a wild card team from there. So, right. NFC North: Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings. Also, probably could be considered outside of the Packers the next worst division in football.
Yeah, I mean, Pack win 11 or 12 games this year, easy, if not more. I will say I'm interested to see how bought in Aaron is. I don't think they'll go far in the playoffs because I think Aaron is already on another team in his mind, right?
Broncos.
I will say that the Vikings are an interesting look for this reason and this reason alone. This is purely anecdotal, but the Vikings seem to be on a pretty regular pace where like every couple of years they'll surprise you and like make a run at that division, and they'll win like 10, 11, 12 games and come in as the wild card. Nothing on their team shouts that to me. But it wouldn't shock me if they have they're due for a season like that, as opposed to just like barely missing the playoffs or squeaking in, and you know, they tend to make noise when they make the playoffs, but you know, keep an eye on the Vikings, but pack all the way.
Yeah, give me Packers. Even a disinterested Aaron Rodgers is still better than Andy Dalton, Jared Goff, and Kirk Cousins. So yeah, give me Packers by 6 games. Do
you think the Lions have any legitimate shot at being number 2 in that division with the changes they've made with Williams and Goff, or you think no shot?
No, not this year. I do think they're making the right decisions. They're making the right build, and I'm a big MCDC fan, but Dan Campbell. But yeah, no, not this year. I don't think so. I also am just not a believer in Jared Goff. I think he's garbage, and I think Sean McVay veiled how bad he was for a long time, and we even knew he wasn't good, but in that Rams system it was fine, which is also why we'll get there. Anyways, so yeah, Packers. NFC South: Falcons, Saints, Bucks, Panthers.
So Bucks are your division winner, but let me make this very clear. The Bucks will get bounced early in the playoffs because history is not on their side. Super Bowl teams only repeat when they improve. The Bucks stayed exactly the same. So I think the league, as cheesy as this sounds, the league will have figured them out, right? Like they will have idled the threat because they're the same exact team. And like, I have the utmost faith in Brady. Last year, any doubt I had left in my mind for Tom was erased away last year, and there wasn't much left. Bucks are going to win. Saints are going to be sneaky. I firmly believe that. I think having no Michael Thomas early in the year is actually going to benefit the Saints because it's going to force Jameis to spread the ball around, and I think he's capable of doing it. So he's not going to be forcing it to the best receiver in the league, right? Like he tried to do with Mike Evans. He's going to have to throw to open receivers. So I expect the Saints to make a lot of noise and probably be wild card number 1, if not wild card 2. But Bucks, division winner.
Yeah, Bucks win the division just based on win-loss record. But I'm with you. I think the Saints, getting rid of Drew Brees improved the team. And that hurts to say, right? As like I'm not like a crazy Saints fan, but like I've been following them. They're my hometown team. Like getting rid of Drew, Jameis is an upgrade from last year's Drew Brees. He just is. Yeah. Even 30-30 Jameis is an upgrade. And if the Saints can push the ball down the field, dude, moving the safeties and the corners 25 to 30 yards down the field is going to give Kamara even more room, which is like the last thing opposing teams need to do is give Kamara more room to work. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Bucks win, but I think Saints are being very undervalued.
I agree.
Right now, they're probably the most undervalued team in the league right now. I'd say that as I'm looking through.
Well, and I'm going to tell you something too, man. This division is interesting also for this reason. Not this year, but in the next 3 years, the Panthers will win that division because I actually think Darnold was the biggest offseason move this year.
I think I'm happy for him too that he's getting like a fresh start, and he's getting what Josh Rosen never got.
Right.
And I feel bad for it, but like he's getting a fresh start. Joe Brady is, we're believers in Joe Brady, so they'll be good. And then best division of football, like I said, NFC West, and I agree. It's not even particularly close. Rams, Cards, Niners, Seahawks. Are the 49ers the worst team in this division?
Well, it depends on who you ask. I mean, I think the Cards are the worst team in the division, but all 4 of those teams could win the Super Bowl this year.
Right.
So, and this is why I say this about the Cardinals. Kyler has to take the next step in his development. He's a freak, but I need him to be have a little bit better pocket presence and stop being such of a scrambler. Every time I watch Kyler, I get stressed out. I'm like, what is this guy doing? And it usually ends up well for him. But if that offense is going to have any identity and any poise, you've got 2 elite receivers. Well, you have 1 elite receiver and a guy who used to be an elite receiver.
Right.
If you're going to utilize them the way they deserve to be utilized, you're going to have to stay in the pocket and take some hits. This fucking Kyler Murray style of sideline to sideline has to stop. But I actually think that the Niners will win the division because they seem to be... Their defense is going to go back to form from the Super Bowl year, I expect. And I think their quarterback room is kind of interesting. Like Jimmy G, he's got to prove it, dude. He's got this young guy behind him, right? Like it's time to put up or shut up. So we'll see what happens. I do think that the Rams, Matthew Stafford, I'm so excited to see what that looks like. The Seahawks, I don't think that they're going to have enough defense. They'll probably finish last in that division. But Russell Wilson is an X factor in and of himself. Who are we forgetting here? Drawing a blank. Did we name them all? Yeah, we named them all. So I got Niners.
So it's funny you say that about Matt Stafford, because I also am excited Matt Stafford got out of Detroit and went to a good team. On the same token, where I think Jared Goff was kind of masked some of his inadequacies with McVay's system, I'm worried that the same system is going to mask some of Stafford's ability and talent. Like, I see McVay's system as this sort of raise your floor but lower your ceiling kind of system, where the quarterback isn't the most important part of that team. I think the Rams have too many issues at running back, like to lose Cam Akers, your starting guy, and not that he was great, but to lose a starting guy, and now you got Darrell Henderson, who is built like me. Like, I don't know that that's a winning success. I think the Rams finished last in that division. I do think Stafford has a good year, but based on talent alone, not because McVay is going to be able to help him get to the next level. Give me the Cardinals to win the division and the Seahawks in the wild card.
Well, and I was going to say that I think you make a great point about the Rams, because what was exciting about the Rams was that it was going to be the first time that Matthew was going to be upright for a season, hopefully, God willing. But without a running game, they're going to have to pass the ball how many times a game? Like it's going to be, he's going to have to resort to the same heroics he had to resort to in Detroit, which is why I don't think they'll win the division. And then the Seahawks may have the best offense in the league, but that defense is just not. I don't know. I don't. It doesn't seem up to par with the rest. But
I agree. No, I mean I agree, but they have too many difference makers. I just think so. I've got Cardinals winning the division. And then, Seahawks in the wild card. So, NFC, I had Washington, Pack, Bucks, and Cardinals winning their divisions. And my wild cards are Saints. Give me Saints, Vikings, Hawks.
Okay.
Are my wild cards.
So I've got Pack, Boys, Bucks, Niners as division winners. Saints, Vikings, and Cardinals wild card.
Interesting. So you still have the Rams not in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think not having a reliable running back is going to make that offense very one-dimensional, easy to figure out.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. And they, you know, it's not like they really depended on passing the ball to the running back. Todd Gurley never really had any of that, but like you saw without Todd Gurley, they did take a step back, you know, in production for the offense. Oh, yeah. And I think running the ball is such a huge part of McVay's system where you've got motion and play action and you've got all of these things designed to help a bad offense.
Right.
And now that you have all this talent, if you're still going to run that same system, it's not going to let your offensive talent shine. Like that's the whole point of bringing them in, you know? So I don't know. So that's why I don't think the Stafford experiment's going to work in LA. I think it was one of the worst places he could have gone. I mean, hell, I think Stafford to the Saints would have been probably one of the better places, but that's more of a homer thing. Anyways, my Super Bowl, by the way, just so we have it, give me Chiefs. Ugh. You know what? Give me Chiefs Seahawks.
Interesting.
And Chiefs win.
Give me. Think about this. Give me Chiefs over the Saints.
Oh. Who dat? Yeah, I think it is going to be an interesting season because there are a lot of competitors. Like I feel like last year, so many people picked Chiefs Bucks to go to the Super Bowl, but you know now. No one would bat an eye if you picked the Bills or the Titans to go to the Super Bowl, you know,
in
the AFC.
I just don't, until I'm proven otherwise. An AFC team has to prove that they can beat Chiefs. Same way we used to talk about the Patriots. Like, it's not that teams aren't capable, but the Bills have to prove that they can do it. And what's really scary for the league is that the Chiefs have not had particularly good playoffs the last 2 seasons. They've gone to 2 Super Bowls, but have played like absolute dog shit compared to what they should play like. The season they won the Super Bowl, they had to come from behind in every single game. Last year, they had that banged up offensive line. Patty was running for his life. If the Chiefs enter playoffs and they're hot, God bless everyone. They're going to blow out everybody. But again, the AFC has to prove that they can do it, and thus far they've not done it. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Nice. Well, we've gone on for a long time on this one, which is good. So shout outs if you still want to do those. What you're watching. I have a creator by the name of David Seymour. I've been watching him for a little while now. I found him during quarantine when I was living in my old place. And the David Seymour he's a guy that actually goes through and finds people's videos like for recipes. Like, you know, Gordon Ramsay's recipe or Josh Wiseman's recipe or Tasty's recipe. And he goes and he just does them. And he's like, here, I'll tell you what's good and what's bad. And he's like, you know, he goes through and tests all of the stuff. So if you want to see what the best recipe on the internet is, David Seymour, and he's entertaining, he's goofy, and he's just like a early 20s kid who looks like he's doing this out of his college dorm.
Nice. So my recommendation is just a specific video. For those of you who have not watched Steve's return from Blue's Clues and the announcement that he made to the world and millennials, shit got me choked up. I I think it's on Nick Jr.'s Twitter, but basically it was just him coming back and talking to us the same way he used to talk to us on Blue's Clues. And it really touched my heart today. So you guys should check that out. See if you can stop yourself from getting really depressed now that childhood is dead and there's no hope for any of us. Basically. But anyway, so yeah, we'll be sure to link both of those things in the description. Ben, I'll have you send me your recommendation in the Discord. I'll get it in there. Any closing thoughts, my friend?
No, we yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for obviously NFL back and football, and that's all great. I'm really excited for gaming, like when we're talking about it, because there's a lot of really good stuff coming up.
Yep, a lot of positive momentum, and I think a lot of welcome changes, right? Some things that we've been hoping to see for a long time. So
yeah, go YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope they crush it. Hope they kill it, and I hope they put the purple snakes out of business. So. But anyway, We'll go ahead and sign off there. We're 2 hours strong. We'll try to limit to about 90 minutes next time. I keep it more digestible, but it's fun. It's a good time. Yeah,
we'll try.
Peace out.
Nice.